Yeah, cool. So let's start. Here's the key. I think we don't talk enough about how COVID-19 impacted many different parts of our lives, right? It has changed education, professional lives, that gestures once suggested love and affection turned to a risk of contracting the virus. In that same way, it has also altered the way people engage with politics, policy, and advocacy. Let me just center my camera a little bit. All right, cool. So here's the thing. If you look in the past year, when COVID-19 hit, there has been a surge in online advocacy, uh, specific advocacy groups, namely Mrs. Solidarity, of which champions a progressive society, Senate 18, a campaign for Senate reforms, and the Meyer movement, which is my own movement, special plug, education reform, and even Malaysia's own advocacy group that has continuously championed the welfare of the rakyat per se, has even gone online. This fundamentally changed the way people engaged in politics. And it's sort of fair to say that COVID-19 pushed people to its innovation of online advocacy to evolve into something more than just taking a dump on the government, right? It has allowed the voices of the rakyat or the public to turn electronic and digital, transcending the virus. But here's the thing, this is not new. Online advocacy was something that Undi 18 did 5 years ago. Through using a myriad of mediums such as student networks, events, and especially online advocacy, they were able to successfully lobby against the government and the parliament towards amending Article 119 columns 1 of the federal constitution to reduce the minimum voting age in Malaysia from 21 to 18 years old, something of which we are still fighting for till this day through lawsuits in both East and West Malaysia. And Undi 18 was critical to a lot of people in their own advocacy journey, including myself. They started off making a lot of workshops and events that centralized upon capacity building, such as seats for democracy and fellow parliament, to forge a generation of politically aware and critical youths in pursuit for a better Malaysia. Perhaps like a virus, it was sort of pretty much contagious amongst youths, right? Contrary to what some people may think, online advocacy is not just woke people talking using jargons and having no impact, because it actually does. For one, online advocacy has led the founders of India 18 to successfully lobby against the government. And I would think that is pretty phenomenal given that most of what they did were just online, using digital tools, using social media to platform their voice and to amplify their own respective voices as well, right? And secondly, we're literally seeing all these impacts of online advocacy materialize within society right now. A few months ago, Mrs. Solidarity, which is an organization that champions a lot of progressive issues that's under the sun, they managed to secure more than 30,000 ringgit for the Orang Asli or Post Lanai to head into a legal battle with Pahang's state government over the state's decision to conduct a mining study that would devastate the homes of these people. 2 months ago, I Husniza took to TikTok to talk about her experiences with a government school teacher that made rape jokes within the classroom's walls. And through the help of online advocacy, this issue was raised all the way up to the Ministry of Education, and as well as the international community. And to those that don't live in Malaysia, we understand it's quite the bare minimum here. And now we are still continuously fighting for different issues every single day, whether it's about the state of the Malaysian police, health policies which devastate the lives of those who need to make ends meet, and so much more. The power of online advocacy is its ability to echo these issues and connect these discussions to people around the world, not limited to the lines of the state or the borders of the country. Online advocacy is able to transcend any borders. With the way online advocacy operates during such perilous times, it has subsequently morphed and altered the way politics work as well. And the internet is definitely to be blamed for this. The internet now is like some big ass powerhouse, and the villain when the government victimizes themselves, the hero's weapon or the anti-villain's conscience, right? It will feed and change the way we perceive things. And the internet now is the key to empowerment. And I don't think we ever say thanks. So thank you so much, internet, for inventing all these different things. Very, very cool things. But anyway, so what do I mean by empowerment, right? I mean, it's quite a vague statement, really. But look, the internet is filled with so many different people from both sides of the political spectrum, right? and it's not always so good for some people. But the key here is to understand that the internet actually allows other people to empower others either by collectivizing themselves or discussion to form a more conscious society. Through this, the internet is able to change people's beliefs and views. And I know everyone says it's quite the opposite, but it's true. And the government or opposition develops and alters their respective policies and action plans in accordance to public scrutiny and demand. In some countries, it's quite instantaneous, but kalau Malaysia, it's lain cerita lah. We have to keep pressuring and pressurizing, and only then something will change. But even then, we don't know by how much. But I just got changed, huh? But again, that's not the point. The point is that the internet, having no geographical barriers, has power and dominion over the way politics interact with the way politics interact and exchange with society. This is the most critical and powerful part of the internet, the power to influence public opinion. Because through this, we were able to see youths who aren't even in power shift and change public policies, right? When the 18 was an example of this, we saw Macy Solidarity strive to campaign against for the Orang Asli community in Post Hanai. Right now we're heading into a legal battle with the government, right? So all these different things are still possible, even though you're not in power. And all these different things were made possible because of politics that is occurring online. And through this, we saw millions of people rallying the streets over the mismanagement of the riot's welfare, right? And through this, we were able to empower more and more young people to take agency over their lives by taking actions to forge for a better future for themselves. Looking at the way the ball is rolling right now, it's definitely going to snowball into something a lot bigger, and it's just going to keep going that way, bigger and bigger, and it will follow the trails of innovation, specifically digital innovation. And with that comes more power placed in the hands of the riot to overcome physical barriers, to have conversations, and to advocate for social causes. In retrospect, this is what makes the internet highly functional, right? It's a very highly functional tool, specifically within the walls of democracy. The digitalization of democracy advances the possibilities of advocating and championing causes. And that's just the first impact of digital advocacy, right? Collectivizing and invoking discussions. But moreover, I think what's really important is to understand that back in March 2021, Undi 18 organized Seats for Democracy, an education program to develop competencies of Malaysian youths on active citizenship, voter education, and participation in political, economic, and social life through experiential learning and simulation. I think this is something that clearly paints the picture whereby digital advocacy has also pushed the boundaries for programs and events that seek to empower more and more people to be more politically critical and more politically involved. Aside from just Undi 18, we can talk also about other organizations. Just this year, New Narrative, a movement for democracy, freedom of information, and freedom of expression in Southeast Asia, organized Sekolah Democracy, whereby participants will learn about the basic principles of democracy and how they can apply that within the Malaysian context. Moving on, we can also talk about the Architects of Diversity, whereby they hosted Hackathon Politic, which invited the youths of Malaysia to participate in a political hackathon, whereby they simulate a political party of their own and battle it out to develop and innovate sound policies to win the simulated elections. It sounds pretty cool because it is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get involved, but I would really love to get involved. They are also hosting a National School Ambassador program through Sekolah Semua to empower students to champion for anti-discrimination in schools, colleges, and university. And as we speak, my own organization, the Maya Movement, is actually even hosting our own program, which is a 1-month capacity building program to empower students through civic education, whereby they will learn the fundamental concepts ranging from advocacy to media to environmentalism. We're actually even launching the program tonight. And it's pretty cool to see how programs and all these different solutions to empower people have come up as a result of online advocacy. With all these different programs, we are able to nurture and grow students and youths to be a generation that is more progressive and sensitive to issues, not just limited to the local context, but also on the global context. The work put into online advocacy often gets lost in the process of seeing this as a form of advocacy that is not very viable or impactful, right? But I think it's the opposite, really, right? We can actually see that online advocacy is something that is viable and is impactful. Many are very quick to criticize online advocacy efforts as something that's just electronical, something just unreal, something that can never really translate to any change. And trust me, I've met these people and I've had it spit to my face about whether I'm able to facilitate change through e-politics or online advocacy. But regardless, many have proven that this is definitely not the case, countless times actually. And this is an issue when we fail to see the efforts and works of those who are in pursuit of a better country or a better world, we condemn and limit ourselves to the possibilities of inciting change in an innovative manner. And as the world progresses, there will be more and more issues that will need an entire body of people to rally against it. If we fail to follow digitalization, we fail to seek justice and freedom. And subsequently, we fail to seek for change as we dip into a whirlpool of backwards, non-progressive solutions to current progressive and more relevant issues. Adaptability is by far, to me, the greatest ability of mankind. For eons, we were able to adapt to progression, biologically speaking, which has allowed us to advance further as a species. In the same way, we need to adapt to a better solution that is of the same relevance, progress, and time of the status quo. If COVID-19 hits, then we have to innovate the way we interact with society and the way that we facilitate change to make sure that as a society we are also progressing, because otherwise we would fall behind. In a world with multifaceted issues, I think it's super easy to get lost, and it's even easier to get lost when we are restricted, and when we bind ourselves through traditional and conventional methods to champion against these issues, right? Digitalization will only grow, and with politics, and with digitalization growing and growing in a very tech-driven society, politics and advocacy must as well, because otherwise we will fall behind and we will never be able to catch up to what it means to advocate through different mediums. Advocacy is the most crucial aspect of any single democracy, right? And we need to keep reminding ourselves that the real power lies in the hands of the people, not politicians or unelected individuals. Power is never absolute, and power is never absorbed. It is merely borrowed, given during a temporary period to govern and to lead. The people, us, rightfully reserve the right to take that power away. In a more polarized political climate, a more uncertain climate, we need to be able to mobilize ourselves to be adaptable and agile in reclaiming our power as the rakyat. We cannot seek justice and fairness if we are stunted by physical barriers that simply won't change, so we have to, because change does not wait for us to adapt. We have an inherent responsibility to chase and keep up with the current change. And only this way we're able to truly see society progress. And if it means online advocacy, then that's probably something that we should embark on. Thank you. And I guess that's about it for my speech. Thanks, everyone.